And I was so determined on not doing it that I lost my voice and didn't give up. So we're going over Luke 15, and Luke 15 is the three parables of the lost. Really wanted to get like some good stories and stuff about things that I've lost and stuff like that. But all I could think of was this story, or basically my whole childhood, where anytime we lose something, we would tell my mom, "Hey, Mom, I can't find my shoes, whatever." And she goes, "Did you actually look for them?" And then no, and then she'd go, "Okay, well, go look with your mommy eyes." Because the rule was if she walked in there and didn't do any effort and saw the stuff right in front of her, then, we didn't try. And I thought this was a silly way to do stuff until about 5 years ago, or 6, I don't know. It was Hurricane Harvey in Houston, and I was helping a family rebuild their house, and the gentleman had lost his very nice Buc-ee's thermal cup like this, and we had spent 2 full days looking for it. And then the next day I come in and I go, "Oh, I see you found it." And he goes, "No, I haven't." Well, it was sitting right at eye level in front of us, in front of any way you walk into the house. It was right there. And I said, "Well, clearly we didn't look with our mommy eyes. Otherwise we would have seen that a long time ago." So let's start with reading chapter 15, verse 1. "Now the tax collectors and the sinners were all drawing near to him. And the Pharisees and the scribes grumbled, saying that the man receives sinners, eats with them." So these are all the big godly people. And they don't like Jesus because Jesus, he loves everybody. And they like to stay clean, so they don't interact with the poor. They don't interact with the sinners, the people who don't go to church regularly, the people, the prostitutes, and all of those things. And they do everything they can to stay separated from those people so that they don't have to go and get clean before they go back to church and worship God again. And so they don't like the fact that Jesus is spending all of this time with the unclean. So he looks at them. Oops, of course. He looks to them and says a parable. "What men are you, having hundreds of sheep, if he has one of them, or if he has lost one of them, does not leave the 99 and to go and look after the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he finds it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoices, and then when he comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, saying to them, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost.' Just so I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over the 99 righteous persons who need no repentance." Sheep are stupid. They're flock animals. They don't cause any harm to humans, or really, they're just prey. They stay together, and when one gets lost, it does the natural thing, which is sit still and cry out until it is eaten or found, because there is no other option for it at that point. So this farmer or this sheep herder goes and he puts his 99 away, and he gets up and he goes and he starts looking for the dumbest sheep that he has, and he sees it laying there, and he's like, "Thank God I found him." It's going to be the same when you look at this. Excuse me. Give me a second to find my place. When we are lost in sin, it's the same approach that Jesus has to come out and find us. The next parable Jesus has is the parable of the lost coin. Chapter 8, or verse 8. "Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one coin, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and seek diligently until she finds it? And when she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost.' Just so I tell you that there is joy before the angels of God over one sinner who rejoices." That last phrase, I really like it, because it's just so I tell you there is joy before the angels of God over one sinner who rejoices. which that to me, the angels aren't rejoicing, and the angels are in the presence of God. Therefore, God is rejoicing over that one lost soul, that one sinner who has repented. I was listening to Billy Graham talk about this, and I like the way he said it, which was the lady was stupid. Again, because we're stupid. And this reference, the silver coin is worth one day's wage. Typically what they would do is when a woman's getting married, she gets 10 silver coins, and she either has it as a necklace or a headband or something, and then wears it as jewelry for her wedding. And if you lose the coin, I guess you can't get married, is what it sounds like. But that's a lot of money. I recently made a major mistake and thought I had lost a ton of money. And I can tell you that joy that I had the moment it was resolved was totally different than anything in a long time. And minus my children and wife and all that. But yeah, I definitely rejoiced with my mother-in-law, who's my boss, and some of my coworkers who helped me resolve this issue. And yeah, it's not fun to lose money, and it's typically because we're stupid that we lose that money. But let's see. My apologies, I'm getting flustered. But it's really important that we put in that effort to find the things that we're losing. And it's important to God that we help find those who are lost, because He's going to rejoice. He's going to spend that time rejoicing over the one that is found, versus all of us who just sit in here and we go to church and we say we love the Lord and we do that and we carry on and we don't put any effort into helping find more. And that's a tough one, because I don't want to go out there and meet strangers and tell them about God. That's embarrassing, much less standing in front of a bunch of people and preaching a sermon. But I originally was writing a bunch about the Pharisees and the scribes and how terrible they are as people and stuff, but I ended up leaning a lot more towards going over what is lost, because what are our attitudes towards those that are lost? And there's 4 different attitudes that we can kind of go with, which when we're looking at people who are not believers, who are sinners and stuff like that, which is, we could hate them, we could be self-righteous and say, how dare they, they should know about Jesus and all this. And I mean, that's just a foolish way to treat people. Another option is regarding them with indifference, which is just, you live your life and I live my life and we carry on from there, which I'll tell you, I do that a lot, because, it's a lot easier. The third way that we could approach it is we can welcome them and have them come to us as they are. You don't have to dress up fancy for church. Just put on a t-shirt and jeans. Just be dressed for all they care. And that's the approach that the Pharisees really had an issue with when it came to the way Jesus interacted with everyone. Was he didn't care. Jesus just wanted people to come and listen to him and interact with him. And then you have your 4th option, which really goes into these 2 parables, which is you go out and you seek that which is lost. And there are some amazing people who do that, and that is definitely not me. But, like I said, Billy Graham, he was great at going out and finding those who were lost. And I'm going to sit here, I'm going to let you guys come to me, because that is way easier and way less stressful on my personal life. So in here, yes, the parables are going over how Jesus goes out or how those are going out and seeking the lost. And then we have our 3rd parable, which is probably the most known parable, the parable of the prodigal son. So in verse 11, he said, And he said, there was a man who had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me, and divide it, and divide his property between them. Oh, and his father divided the property between him. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all that he had, took a journey into a far country, and there he squandered his property in reckless living. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine came across the country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out of one of the citizens of the country, who sent him into his fields to feed pigs. And he was longing to be fed, and with the pods that the pigs ate, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread? But I perish here with hunger. I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and he came to his feet. Oh, while he was still a long way away, his father saw him and felt compassion, and he ran, embraced him, and kissed him. And the son said to his father, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, bring quickly the best robe, put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring the fattest calf and kill it, and let us eat, celebrate. For this my son was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Now, his older son was in the field, and he came and drew near to the house, hearing the music and dancing, and he called to one of the servants, and he asked them, what do these things mean? And he said to him, your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattest calf, because he has received him back safe and sound. But he was angry and refused to go. Such a sibling response. His father came out and entreated him. But he answered his father, look, these many years I have served you. I have never disobeyed your command, yet you never give me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when the son of yours came, who has devoured your properties with prostitutes, you killed the fattest calf for him. And he said to him, son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It is fitting to celebrate and be glad for your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. Another way that people look at this is that older son, and that's a really good stance for where the Pharisees and the scribes were at the time. Is that's their position, which was, hey, I'm with you, God. But we go back to that celebration of that God has when the lost come back. And if it's one of us who's a believer who then decides to stray from God, that is where we are at. We have to hit that rock bottom to be called back. And God's not going to go out and look for us, because he knows we know where he is already. He knows that we know where he is. But we have to make that decision ourselves to return back home. Or we can look at it as we are the older sibling and we don't do the bad things and we don't have those hardship stories and stuff like that. And, we're great people, and why do we get treated so, in such a way? But I think at any point, all of us end up being the prodigal son, because we all look for ways to make our lives easier and have more fun and do the easier things. Versus staying with God and being dedicated to God the whole time. When it came to dividing the assets in the beginning, the older son always gets 2/3 in this case, and the younger son would get 1/3 of his father's assets. So it wouldn't be a clean split 50-50, but still a large portion of their father's wealth had been completely wasted. And with so much that we see, we have these desires to be free from our, the rules of life. As a kid, I can tell you, I was excited to join the military and leave my family and not have to live with my mom's rules and be told that I don't look for things with mommy eyes anymore, because I am, still blind to this day on finding stuff. 2 nights ago, I fell asleep watching TV, had the remote in my hand, woke up at 3 a.m, and I realized I just finished the entire series of the original Twilight Zone, and couldn't find the remote. So I get up and I tear the bed apart and I look underneath the bed, and after 45 minutes I give up and I just unplug the TV because I cannot find it. And then I go to work, come back, and Juliana goes, "You just missed it. It was right underneath the bed, right where you always look." And I said, "Of course, because I didn't look with my mommy eyes." So I know for a fact that I don't have any desire to, even today, be one to look for stuff. I don't want to deal with I want the stuff now, and if I can't get it, then I'm gonna give up, and I'm gonna unplug the TV or do whatever I can to move on forward. But that patience to actually look is definitely needed.